This is Mitchell Afterbeer here. I chose an article from ScienceDaily.com over water pollution. This would be similar to a concept I taught in ninth grade global science for Dubuque Senior when I taught there, but I got this article separate. I just thought it was pretty good for water quality and water pollution, and there's a lot of standards that fit in with that. So go ahead and get started. First, I noticed about the text setup, that the bold title was just to show the title, and then the font was bigger for the second part of the paragraph, which showed basically the definition of the text, and then the third portion explained the misconceptions behind water pollution and things like that, and then the fourth was all causes and characteristics of water pollution. So my first bullet point, where I marked the one, what do you notice about the text setup? Begins with a broad topic as heading in bold. Like I said, the next sentence is bigger letters. And I thought that we could brainstorm as many words and facts as you could think of for water pollution, well, the word water and pollution and what it meant to students. I found that in the reading during the first week of class as a strategy, a pre-reading strategy that we could use. And for the second portion, basically defines water pollution. At that point, I would go further into detail with the definition to make sure that everyone understands it. And in parentheses in the article, it says bodies of water, parentheses lakes, rivers, oceans, groundwater. So at that point, I thought that if I had time or if I needed a filler activity for something to do to supplement the reading, I could come up with a graphic organizer that shows lakes, rivers, oceans, and groundwater and the types of pollutions associated with each. And there's just a lot of things I could do with that. I also said I predict that students understand that pollution is bad or negative, however they don't understand, what pollution is actually doing to the environment. So just to get that point across would be important in this lesson, that yeah, you know what pollution is, you've heard it over and over, but what is actually happening with it, what is it actually doing to the environment, how does it affect you, how does it affect the world. And the third portion of the text explains which is the misconceptions part, the natural phenomena, earthquakes, volcanoes, storms, etc. They can cause change in water quality, however they're not deemed to be pollution. And that just brought me back to another class I had. We did a misconceptions project in science, and we just went through different misconceptions, and I could tear off there too as well for scientific misconceptions. And I could clear up any misconceptions with pollution that they have. So when they do brainstorm the things about pollution, after I go over them, obviously I'll read them before we read the selection, so they know what's right and what's not, just to clarify everything before we go over anything. And then finally, the last portion, the largest portion, talks about the causes and characteristics of pollution. The first part talks about increases in nutrient loading and eutrophication, and I think it'd be important to explain what eutrophication is before reading the article as well, so they know what they're reading, because it's kind of a difficult concept and hard to explain. I actually just learned it in college, my last semester in geology, I think. And then, yeah, the rest of them are just causes and characteristics, and also I think it'd be important to talk about localized pollution and global pollution and the differences, the causes, and just to distinguish them from one another and make them both equally as important, because I think that as far as living in Iowa with all the fertilizers and chemicals that are going into fields, it could be useful for students to know that, to go home and be able to tell their parents that, or even if they don't go home and tell their parents, because obviously farmers aren't just going to change what they're doing all of a sudden. But I think as far as the future goes, that could be something that could be useful to them if I could get that within my lesson. And then I finished it up for the rest of the causes. I think I should dig deep to find relevant examples to supplement the reading for my class, because I know personally it's easier for me to understand concepts when I have real world examples to go along with them. So for eutrophication, they hear that word and they might think, oh, what's that, and be turned off right away. But if I say Iowa, you hear Iowa, you think, oh, that's where I live. So I think that I could try to give examples of where this pollution is taking place around the local area as well as major parts in the U.S. because I know personally I don't think I ever really learned that in school. You just learn what's happening. You don't learn where it's happening, why it's happening, what it's doing as much. So that'd be something I would do. And as far as my lesson plan, one second here. This may not be exactly how we were supposed to do this, but I was kind of confused on what exactly you wanted. So I tried to model the what's it called? Think Aloud example as much as I could. But yeah, my instructional goals: students will be able to understand various causes of water pollution and their influence on the environment. Students will be able to understand various characteristics of water pollution as well as misconceptions associated with it, and students will be able to understand valid ways to reduce the problem of water pollution as a country and as a person living their daily life in Iowa. As far as my instruction, I went through that briefly. And the content standards: evaluate or refine a technological solution that reduces impacts of human activities on natural systems. So for the assessment, I would assign an essay over water pollution to show they understand what I'm talking about. That would include numerous problems associated with water pollution and what they think is the best way to correct them. So they would have to go out of class and be more inquiry. They'd have to think of they have to find different proposals to correct pollution or to stop pollution, and then give their opinion of the best way, because I think that's how problems get solved. No one has the exact answer, but I think that would just put that idea in their mind, and that's kind of what we have to do as educators, is to get the problems sparked in their head so they can come up with solutions if we can't. Then I have the references listed. ScienceDaily.com was where I got the article, and yeah, that's pretty much it.